I never thought I would be the man whose life collapsed in a single heartbeat. My name is Daniel, I'm 38, and I own a small but thriving landscape design business in Austin, Texas. For years I believed that trust in marriage was sacred, unbreakable, the very thing that kept a couple safe from life's chaos. That belief shattered on a Sunday morning that began like any other. I woke early, brewed fresh coffee, and wandered outside to check the garden we had carefully built together. Rebecca, my wife of 8 years, had told me she wanted to spend the morning lounging by the pool. I imagined she was soaking in the warm spring air, enjoying the peace we had worked hard to create. With a towel draped over my arm, I slid open the glass doors to join her. What I saw froze me to the core. Rebecca wasn't alone. She was with another man. The two of them wrapped around each other, laughing without a care in the world. Their intimacy was casual, practiced, as if my presence in her life had ceased to matter. The sight sent a cold shock through me. Every sound, every movement was soaked in betrayal. My hand clenched around the towel, but I didn't yell. I didn't curse. I didn't storm away. Instead, I stood there, letting the silence settle heavy over the scene. I knew instinctively that rage would give them control. Fury would make me look broken. No, silence and calculation would become my weapons. I had suspected her disloyalty for weeks, small clues scattered in her behavior. And in that instant, everything lined up. My stillness unnerved them. The man didn't even notice me at first. Rebecca thought I was still inside. That smug miscalculation would cost her more than she could imagine. I stepped back indoors for a moment, steadying my pulse, then returned with deliberate calm. As I walked toward the pool, Rebecca's smile faltered. She sensed something in my posture that unsettled her. Her lover finally turned, his grin collapsing when his eyes met mine. The poolside laughter died instantly. Rebecca tried to speak, her voice stuttering as if she could rewrite what I had just witnessed. "Daniel," she began, her tone breaking under the weight of exposure. I didn't answer. I simply stood there, towel in hand, watching them crumble under the silence. Then, instead of exploding in anger, I made my first move, one I had been planning ever since suspicion first crept in. I picked up a pool float nearby and hurled it with sharp force into the water. The splash shattered their illusion of control, drenching them in the reality of their exposure. The man flinched, coughing as water sprayed him. Rebecca jumped back, panic flooding her face. In that single act, I shifted the balance of power. I didn't rant. I didn't give them the satisfaction of my pain. Instead, I walked to the patio table, poured a glass of water, and sat down as though this were nothing more than a casual Sunday conversation. My calm was more terrifying than any rage. "We need to talk about honesty," I said at last, my voice low but cutting. Rebecca scrambled to cover herself with a towel, her confidence crumbling into shame. The man hovered awkwardly, torn between bolting and staying. My eyes locked on him long enough for him to understand. He was an intruder in a life he could never claim. Then I turned back to her, my words deliberate. "You thought I wouldn't see. You thought I'd ignore the signs. That I'd let you get away with this without consequence. You were wrong." For the next several hours, I dismantled her deception piece by piece. I revealed everything I had quietly uncovered. The text messages, the suspicious meetups, the sudden distance in our marriage. Each time she tried to defend herself, I cut through with undeniable proof. Her words shrank against the weight of evidence. The lover sat silent, shrinking under the pressure, realizing this was not his battle to win. By the end, they were both stripped of their bravado. What remained was fear, regret, and the crushing reality that I wasn't the fool they thought I was. That evening, I called my lawyer. Divorce was no longer a question. It was a certainty. But I didn't pursue it for revenge. I pursued it to reclaim my life, my dignity, and my freedom. Rebecca's humiliation didn't need a courtroom spectacle. The look on her face by that pool had already carved her defeat into stone. When the legal process began, I came prepared. I presented every screenshot, every inconsistency, every trace of evidence that proved her betrayal. She tried to spin stories, tried to win sympathy, but her lies collapsed in the face of facts. In the courtroom, she had no leverage. No voice could undo the damage she had caused. By the final hearing, property, finances, and closure were settled on my terms. She had gambled with arrogance and lost everything. The day I walked out of that courthouse, the air felt lighter. I wasn't carrying betrayal anymore. I was carrying clarity. I hadn't chased revenge for its own sake. I had claimed justice. I had taken back control of my life. That night, alone in my living room, I reflected on the journey. Betrayal has a way of breaking people, but it can also sharpen them, revealing a strength they didn't know they had. I had discovered patience, precision, and resolve inside me. Rebecca thought her affair gave her power, but she never realized that every move she made only fueled my strategy. She had misread me. She thought I would collapse. Instead, I transformed. Her deception became the foundation of my strength, and her arrogance became her undoing. When she looked at me that last time, she finally understood the truth. She would never control me again. I hadn't just survived her betrayal. I had turned it into proof of my resilience. And that, more than anything, would guide me for the rest of my life.